What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over my favorite loadout for Fortnite's Attack on Titan update. As always, if you guys do find this video helpful or informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below what your favorite setup has been to use in this most recent update. So the main changes to the meta that occurred in this update will be that they added the ODM gear mobility item, which is very good. However, it does have some kind of advantages and disadvantages when compared to the kinetic blade. So it's not like it's just night and day better or night and day worse. They kind of have different strengths and weaknesses. And then also this update nerfed the mythic pulse rifle and the mythic havoc pump shotgun. Both of these items are still very good, but they aren't as busted as they used to be, and it's a lot more balanced, and that kind of opens the door to several other loadouts this season. Like I feel like mythic pump and mythic pulse rifle combination was so ridiculous that it was never really going to be worth using one of the high fire rate shotguns. I felt like with this update, you can get away with using the Maven in the combat more, I think, because both parts of that combo got hit. And I do have two main loadouts for this update. The first one is going to be double mobility. So like I said earlier, the ODM gear and the katana have different strengths and weaknesses. I feel like the ODM gear is better at getting around the map, and then it also has that smash ability, which is very good at destroying cover or forcing people out of whatever like hiding spot they're in. But it isn't quite as good at responding to getting caught off guard or responding to there being like too many people in an area, because when you get shot using the ODM gear, it like goes on cooldown. You can't just like decide you're using your mobility even if people are shooting at you. So I like using both the ODM gear and the katana. And so that leaves us 3 more spots in our loadout, right? Obviously, I'm going to be using heals. You want to be carrying heals all the time. Ideally, this will be the legendary slurp juice. And then my final 2 items are going to be the red eye and the Maven shotgun. Ideally, I would have the exotic Maven shotgun. I feel like it is, much better than the traditional one. And even prior to the nerfs of the mythic havoc pump, there were a lot of people that preferred the exotic Maven over the mythic pump pulse rifle combo. It's very good. So if you're able to get your hands on the the exotic Maven shotgun, I think this is definitely the way to go. The best route to get the exotic Maven, from what I've found, is going to be in this area over here near the racetrack. There is an NPC that sells keys, and then there's also a lot of key chests in that area that hopefully you should be able to maximize your odds of getting the exotic Maven somewhat conveniently. There is an NPC that was added in this update that can spawn at some of the monoliths around the map, and it will sell exotics for 25 gold, but I've never seen them selling the exotic Maven. I believe they only sell the red eye, twin mag, and heavy shotgun every time. I don't think they sell the exotic Maven, so I wouldn't really recommend going for them. Like I said, my best chance to find it is typically in this area over here, just because there's so many key chests you can hit in that area. And this loadout is very, very good because the Maven shotgun is good, especially if you're able to get the exotic one. The red eye is good at the range that it's good at. And then you have the ODM gear to get around the map quickly. You have the ODM smash to potentially like engage on people. And if you, break their cover and then hit them with the smash and then you're in their face and swap to the Maven, it's very difficult for that person to play the game. I feel like I've never really died in those situations. And then finally, you have the red eye for those more like medium to long range fights. This is a loadout very similar to what we ran last chapter. When the Dragon Ball stuff was in the game, I would run AUG, auto shotgun, Nimbus Cloud, and shockwaves, and then heals as well. So it's very similar to something I'd run in chapter 3. However, I said at the start of the video, the meta is a lot more balanced now. I don't think there's any, set loadout you have to use. So I feel like a traditional loadout of something like red eye, havoc pump, a spray weapon, katana, and heals is also very good. If I'm only able to run one mobility item, I would rather have the katana than the ODM gear, just because the ODM gear, like once you get shot, it's on cooldown. And one of the reasons why mobility is so important in zero build is because it's the only way you can respond to an unfavorable situation. If you're playing builds and you get shot by somebody hiding who knows where, you could just build. But if you're playing zero builds and then you get shot from somebody and you get completely caught off guard by it, mobility is one of the only things that's going to save you in that situation. Or if you're in some type of situation where there's just way too many people in one area all at the same time, I feel like in those situations as well, having mobility is super nice. So I'm always going to want to have some form of mobility in zero build, and I just feel like the katana is better than the ODM gear if I'm only going to use one, because it doesn't matter what your opponent does to you. If your mobility is up, like if it isn't on cooldown, you can use it. And that is super valuable if you're using it to get out of some sticky situations. You could also go for, katana and ODM gear at the same time if you're able to get the pulse rifle and run something like pulse rifle, havoc pump, double mobility and then heals. The only concern with that, I feel like, is the fact that typically by the time I get the pulse rifle in 4th zone, it's kind of difficult to be looting up after that, you know, like you're pretty close to the end of the game. So I feel like the only time I would really be doing that is if I already have like a traditional loadout, and then I just use the pulse rifle as my spray weapon, and then maybe I eliminate somebody who has the ODM gear, and then I drop my red eye for that. But I don't really like using 2-gun until I'm able to get the pulse rifle. I don't like the Havoc AR as a follow-up weapon, as a spray weapon. So it's just kind of weird to make that loadout work of double mobility and pump and pulse, just because by the time you get it, you're so late into the game that at that point it's really inconvenient to be looting up and searching for the ODM gear, or vice versa. If you ran ODM gear initially, be searching for the katana. But I think this is one of the better balanced versions of the game we've seen in quite some time. I feel like you can really get by with almost anything. There's not just one set in stone way you have to play the game right now. I think both the ODM gear and the katana are good. I still think the Havoc pump is my favorite shotgun. But with the mythic version being nerfed, it's not so ridiculously head and shoulders above everything else that I think it's just, you know, undisputably the best. And then also with the spray weapons, the pulse rifle is still good, but the twin mag is like close behind it. One thing I do think that would make this season a little more interesting in terms of weapon variety is if they added pistol amp back into the game. I think the tactical pistol would be a great option again, but without pistol amp in the game, it's kind of inconvenient to want to justify using that when the mag size is so low. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful and informative. Like I said, those are my 2 favorite setups, but I do think there's a lot of room in the meta to run pretty much whatever you want. The balance is very good. So let me know down in the comments below what your favorite setup has been so far in Fortnite's Attack on Titan update. So I completely lost sight of that guy. I don't know how many ammo is in my shotgun. Full 50? Yeah, like this guy just keeps getting away. All that damage I just did to that guy is irrelevant because he's a truck cannon. Dang, no fall there. Finally! That's the one that had the exotic Maven this whole time. I wish I could pull loot to myself with this thing like the Spidey. He's behind one of those trees, the final player, I think. Tried claw? Yeah, I mean, that's just, like, I've talked about this so many times, but at this point, I wouldn't really recommend anyone playing claw. It's just not necessary. When I started playing claw, there were no, like, paddled controllers. Like, I started playing claw in, like, 2008. 2009. That was just the way you got the advantage of being able to do everything without taking your thumbs off the analog stick, you know? There was no custom controllers like we have today, but with how things are today, I think it's just easier to get used to the paddles.